Welcome to the universe in a seashell, the podcast dedicated to science, life, and girl power. I'm Kara Bartek and I'm your host. I'm a PhD, an author, and I want to make this world a more equal and opportune place, one girl at a time. Welcome to the podcast. It's been a really long time, hasn't it, Caroline?
It has.
Well, we've kind of been in this really weird corona place. Okay, so number one, school totally stopped.
It did.
And let's just say it hasn't been easy.
We had a super long summer spring break-ish part.
Yeah, and so you guys have been home. We've had no schedule, and your dad has been home. He's been trying to work from home.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of what he does involves video calls.
Video calls.
Okay, how many times have we accidentally walked through his video calls?
Several times. And then everyone laughs after the end.
Yeah, there was one instance that I'm remembering where Penny walked through one of his conference calls, and Dad's boss said, "Well, I guess she doesn't really like brushing her hair."
She said, he literally said, "Did you lose your brush?"
Oh, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so it's been quite an ordeal. It's been strange times. It's been very difficult for us to maintain a schedule and to...
It's been cuckoo.
Super cuckoo. But here we are. We've got new episodes of the podcast coming out. And
this
that's
one
good,
is
right?
Super exciting.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very appropriate because we're going to talk about something that's definitely on our minds. Which
it is very appropriate.
Well, we've got, coronavirus, which is... it's almost everything that we talk about, almost everything that we think about, and especially now that you and Penny have started school. We've got to monitor COVID symptoms. And what are some COVID symptoms?
Your head is hot.
Okay, what else?
You have a fever.
Got a fever?
One time I had a fever and my dad put a cold bottle to me and I didn't even jump.
Okay, you just went off on another tangent. So at least I know some things have not changed. The ability of you to put us on a totally different topic is the same,
Okay.
which is fun.
It's fun.
But anyway, so boogers are a symptom, right?
Boogers.
Snotty nose. Okay, and guess
Leaky
what?
nose. Can't sleep.
We're going to be talking about boogers today.
Yes.
Boogers are, one of the biggest indicators of being sick, and I wanted to know what exactly a booger is. So, are you ready to talk about boogers?
I am. I want to know what a booger is.
So, everybody, welcome back to the Universe in a Seashell. We are going to be talking about boogers today, but before we begin, I wanted to give a big shout out to my buddies Jordan and Jaden, who I understand have been listening to our podcast, all of our old episodes, on a very special road trip. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening. Hey, if you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure that you click that subscribe button in whatever pod app that you're listening in. That will make sure that you guys get notified of the new shows, which we're back on our schedule, right?
Yeah.
We should be putting out new shows a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to hold me accountable, right, Caroline?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to hold you accountable for your homework?
Yeah.
Spelling words?
Yeah.
Multiplication facts?
Yeah.
That's been your least favorite Corona activity, hasn't it been?
Ugh.
I pull out those flashcards and you kind of run away.
I hide in my closet.
But also, if you're enjoying it, please make sure that you rate and review every one of those ratings raises the level of the podcast. It makes sure other people know that it's out there and that you like it. So thank you so much for listening, and please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and you rate and review us. All right, Caroline, are you ready to talk about boogers?
I am.
All right, so this has been pretty fun researching boogers. But you know what? We talk about science, and guess what? There is science behind boogers. But before we get there, I want to know, what do you think? Quit looking at my notes. Don't cheat.
I want to know.
What do you think boogers are? Where do they come
There
from?
are these globs of goo that are
Some
yellow.
Noseberries,
I always thought that it
liquid
was.
gold.
I thought it was that. I kept on thinking that it was dried up, like spit,
Dried up spit, kind of
Yeah.
dried up snot.
and then it turns into gel and turns yellow.
Well, so what is the purpose of boogers? Like, why do we have boogers?
I don't know. Why do you have ear wax?
I know, like our body kind of produces really weird, gross things, but guess what? There is an actual purpose to boogers. So I went to Ewww, which is a really great health and wellness website, and this is what they said. Our body makes boogers to protect us from viruses.
What?
Absolutely. And irritating particles in our environment that we breathe in every day. Dust, grass, bugs. They're meant to protect us from those things. Okay.
Now I'm glad I have boogers.
Well, all boogers are basically dried out mucus. So you were totally right.
Kind of.
Right.
Right. But why does it turn yellow, green? Ugh.
Well, let's find out. Okay, so our bodies make mucus, a slimy substance that is mostly water, to trap tiny particles of diseases like a cold virus or corona, okay? And environmental irritants like pollen and dust. And keeps them from traveling down to our lungs. And hey, guess what? That's been the big thing about COVID. I know we're making a lot of silly jokes, but that's where COVID gets so serious, right? Is
Your
when it gets into
throat.
people's lungs. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. After the mucus traps these things, little hairs in our nose that are called cilia. Okay, those little hairs. Sometimes they're tiny hairs, sometimes they're big hairs. Like in the
Giant
case of
hairs that you pluck out, like.
in the case of
ugh.
like dads and grandpas. That's why at Christmas you have to give them those special trimmers. That
Doesn't Dad have one of those?
Yes, he does. And he uses it regularly.
He sticks it up his nose and I'm like, ugh.
So these little hairs in our nose called the cilia move the mucus towards the front of our nose. Okay, so think about it. You've got an invasive coronavirus coming towards you.
Corona!
It's coming through your nose. Okay, let's say you're not wearing your mask. Let's say you're not social distancing. And for whatever reason, here comes this coronavirus. What your nose is doing in defense is producing this sticky substance called
Boogers!
no mucus,
Mucus.
right? So that sticky substance is called mucus, and the little hairs in our nose, which are called what?
Hair thingy.
You're not paying attention.
No, I'm not.
Cilia. Okay, it's kind of a cool word. Yes,
Cilia.
Cilia. It's moving that mucus down. Okay, then we either blow our nose to get rid of the mucus, or it just sits towards the front of our noses and dries out, becoming a booger.
Booger.
Okay, so what is that hair called again?
Cilia.
Cilia, and what is that sticky, slimy substance?
Mucus.
Yeah, look, some scientific terms. Now, are you ready to learn some interesting facts about boogers?
I am. I want to know
All
what
right.
boogers are.
Now, if you don't clean boogers out of your nose, you'll most likely swallow them throughout the day.
So that's how you get mouth boogers.
Okay, I can't even. What the heck is a mouth booger?
Those things that you get in your mouth and then you have to spit them out.
Are you talking about a loogie?
No. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. So mucus can definitely go to the back of your throat. A lot of times that's called postnasal drip. So our sinuses are constantly producing mucus, sometimes more than others, especially like if you're having allergy symptoms or a cold or a flu, or, maybe if you were sick with COVID, your sinuses are producing a lot of this mucus, right? And so it can come out the nose, but it also can go to the back of the throat, okay? So they're saying if you're not cleaning them out, you could be swallowing them, okay? So let's see.
That's
To tell the
disgusting.
truth, most of the mucus our bodies makes ends up in our stomach anyways. Barf, 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 barf. Okay.
Eating your boogers. Ugh.
If you don't clean out boogers by blowing or picking the dried out mucus that moved to the front of your nose, it can make its way back towards the back of your nasal passage and down the throat. Hence what you were talking about, I guess, mouth boogers.
Yeah. And then they get up in your mouth and stuff.
I'm so glad that we've already eaten dinner. Because this is not like dinner
Very
conversation.
appetizing.
No, not at all. Okay.
Don't listen to this while you are eating.
Maybe we should have made that disclaimer at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, we should have.
All right, the best way to pick your nose is with a tissue. And actually, this sounds much more polite than just sticking your entire finger up there, right? All the way up to your knuckle. Okay, this isn't rocket science, but it's important. Since boogers are mostly made of mucus and germs, it is a good idea to use a tissue. So not only is it more polite, but it's creating a barrier between your finger and whatever might be trapped by that booger, right?
Yes.
Okay. You should also wash your hands or use hand sanitizer at a minimum after you blow or pick your nose. If you need help cleaning out your nose, try saline in a drop, mist, or spray form to help. Okay, so those are actually really good recommendations. And right now, we're having to do a lot of hand washing and hand sanitization, right?
Yes.
So these are all really good tips. Oh, look, Bob's joining the podcast again.
Rough, and then you hear the clinking of nails.
Okay, let's go on to our next interesting fact. And that is, if you have a lot of boogers, try drinking more water. Okay.
What?
Since mucus is made of water, it's important to drink plenty of it to keep mucus thin and reasonable. If your body is dry, it is more likely to produce more boogers. During Midwest winters, we turn on the heat to help us stay warm, but unfortunately, this makes the air we breathe very dry. When we breathe dry air, our bodies make thicker mucus, which is harder to clear out. Thick mucus and postnasal drip is often why we feel worse in the winter months. Yeah, and that totally makes sense.
So that's why they're making us keep on the fans and stuff.
Are you talking about in school? Mm-hmm. Well, right now we're keeping the fans on because it's like 108 degrees. But definitely it can, move the air. But what they're saying is that if you're having a lot of boogers, it might be a sign that, the air's too dry and you just don't have enough water. Because mucus is mostly made up of what?
Water.
Yeah, so if we keep our bodies hydrated, it can help move all that stuff out, right?
Because if you keep your mucus wet, then it won't cause so many boogers.
Yeah, it won't get all dry and nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's one that I thought was pretty interesting, because you were talking about the color of boogers. It's okay if boogers are bloody or discolored. Okay, because I've always heard...
That's why my boogers are yellow.
Well, listen, I've always heard that if you have discolored mucus, it might be a sign that you're sick. But let's listen to this fact, okay? Sometimes our boogers turn different colors or are bloody. That usually doesn't mean anything bad, okay? So it's not necessarily a sign that you're sick. We have lots of tiny little blood vessels in our nose near where the boogers go. So sometimes when we blow our nose or if we pick our nose, we will see a little blood in our mucus. Dry air can also make it worse. This is pretty normal, and different colored boogers should not be alarming, okay? So it's just a side effect of having your
This
finger.
next one I see kind of explains.
Okay, and this is probably the grossest one. And way to get ahead
Can
of
I
my
see
notes. Do you want to read our last fact?
Yes.
All right, get after it, Caroline.
Kids eat boogers because they are salty.
Yum, yum, yum.
Most kids pick their noses and eat the boogers because they taste salty. Try using
Positive?
positive reinforcement to help stop this behavior. In other words, don't scold your child for picking and or eating boogers.
Okay.
Instead, try praising them when he or she uses a tissue to blow or clean out their nose. Since boogers hold germs, it's important to teach them to not pick your nose to reduce the spread of bugs. If you are worried about your child's habits, make sure you talk to his or her primary care doctor.
Okay.
So don't scold your child when they eat their boogers.
No comments. I tell you what, this has been one of the stranger topics that we've covered, but it couldn't be more timely, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're
Boogers.
thinking a lot about boogers. We're thinking about coughing and boogers and, you know, keeping our sneezes covered. So, anyway, this is a fun topic to jump back into, don't you think?
It was.
Hey, I'm glad to be recording again.
It is.
And I'm glad to be on a regular schedule.
It's fun to be back with your friends, even though you can't hug them, but still, it's fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. I hope that you're having a great week and wearing your masks and washing your hands and watching out for those boogers.
Boogers!
See you
Bye.
later.